Good. Just waiting to see that we're live. And we are. Welcome everyone to Playing in the Stars. How's it going? So we got a panel here. So we got Vet, we got Brian, we got JD on and off in audio only mode. And we got Purple Haze as a special guest for this week. How's it going?
Going well. How's everybody else? Thank you so much for having me.
Thanks for coming.
I'm excited.
Yeah, thanks for coming. Thanks for joining us.
This is fantastic. This is a day I've been waiting for. No, I'm just kidding. I've been having way too much fun with this day.
It's a lot of very exciting, very weird, very moving news. Some are taking it well, some less than others. Just trying to readjust the windows here. Awesome. So first, we're gonna go around, see what's up with everyone, what you've been playing, how things are going for you all. I'm gonna go around towards Vet, so you have a good idea of how we do this. Purple. Sometimes it gets off track. Don't worry about that. But
every week
we'll go around everyone. So Vet, what's up, man?
Well, I just got back from Virginia last night at like 10 o'clock. Woke up this morning to the death of Xbox. Oh wait, I mean Twitter telling me that a deal had gotten blocked. So that was fun. I was dropped out some gifts every now and then. Had fun with that. Otherwise, I really haven't done any gaming. I was completely off the grid from Thursday last week until today. It was actually kind of nice to just enjoy mountain air and not deal with gaming, and then come back full force today, just right back where I left off. Microsoft just handed me the keys to the city and said, "Here you go. You were right. Phil and Phil working together. I knew it. I said this several weeks ago. My crazy, wild conspiracy theory finally came true. At least one of them did."
Awesome.
But other than that, no. I've just been trying to get back in the fold. I got 30 days left in Minnesota, and then I'm leaving to head back to Virginia for the permanently. So that should be fun.
Great.
One more move to do, or one more half cross country drive to do.
Awesome. Glad to hear that everything went well. Before we go on to Brian, we're gonna check with JD. JD, you still there?
Yep, I'm still here.
Awesome.
Yep.
So what's up with you, man?
Yeah, so just got back from Vegas this weekend. Went to go see the Ryan Garcia versus Tank Davis fight out there in Vegas. Got a chance to hang out with some fellowship with some friends out there as well. As far as gaming goes, I was able to get the Street Fighter 6 demo going. Went ahead and pre-ordered the Ultimate Edition of that because my PlayStation level is up. So I used that STARS program to get $20 off the Ultimate Edition. So got that, and then also checked out Horizon Burning Shores DLC. I think I played like an hour of that the other day. I'm enjoying the DLC so far. It's a little bit tougher. It's weird, man. The Horizon DLCs, like, you play the original game and then you go into like their DLC. It was the same thing. It's a little bit tougher than the original game. Still manageable, but they always slightly up the difficulty for the DLC. But a beautiful game. Street Fighter plays really good, really great. I'm enjoying my time with that. And also checked out MLB The Show 23, which is also a great game as well. If you're on PlayStation Plus subscriber, I don't know what tier you got to be on, but they're doing a trial for 2 hours, so you can go and try out MLB The Show. If you're not on Game Pass, you can check it out on PlayStation. So yeah, that's what I've been up to.
Nice. Good to hear, man. And Brian, what's up with you, man?
Not much, man. I've been playing everything. Literally, Horizon, the DLC from the first one, just so I can catch up and then get started on the West. Played After Image, which is a new indie game because I like supporting those because that's the platform that I like. Then there's the two zombie looters back and forth between Dying Light 2, and then Dead Island 2. So, and I get to laugh at the misery of Xbox now. It's hilarious. It's freaking gold. I love it.
It is. Oh my god.
It just goes to show you can't throw freaking money and hope shit sticks. It don't work that way in life.
Brian, did you like my tweet when Phil
I did.
combined with Phil's Xbox Unite?
Bro. My man's not even nowhere to be found, and somehow he's to blame already. I was like, it's like, all right, man, that's good journalism.
Look, both Phils are going to be in hiding.
So, for anyone wondering what we're talking about here, the Phils, it's basically Jason Schreier, the gaming journalist, shared the fact that it actually the whole CMA thing went down to cloud gaming, and largely due to the cause that because Microsoft were investing heavily into cloud, that Stadia, that's what was the deciding factor of Stadia closing down, and that because of that, that's what basically motivated the CMA into canceling the deal. So it actually came down to decisions by Phil Harrison that actually caused the deal to fall through, which the internet has been going crazy about, because we know Phil Harrison has a reputation of every platform he's been working at. So it's been pretty well. But before we go on with all of that, Purple Haze, welcome. It's great seeing you. How are you doing?
Doing well. I'm just like, Fed already knows. like, what?
I know.
So what I'm playing currently, I'm playing Gears 5. I'm on Act 4, so I'm about to beat the game, I think, tonight. Nice. And I'm replaying Outriders because, as a lot of people know, I lost my level 64 character on Stadia, so I'm trying to build that back up, and I'm getting ready for I think Friday, Bramble and the Mountain King, which I've been really looking forward to for about a year. So that's what I'm playing.
Cool. Nice. So yeah, Outriders is a fun game. I need to get back into this. They added it on PlayStation Plus Premium. Started a character, but there's so many game. Backlog is just crazy.
Amazing. Yeah.
So yeah, as for myself, I've been playing a bit of Burning Shores. Also played a bit of a Disney Speedstorm here and there to try to do a few races. Game is a lot of fun. I do have some worries about the way, the fact that it's structured like a gacha mobile service game, how you get the shards for upgrading your racer. It is kind of weird. I think there might be some rebalancing to do for a console kart racer, but the gameplay and all that is really, it plays well, looks amazing. So, and yeah, that's been mostly the gaming I had time to do in the last few days. So, and we're just gonna look at the chat before we proceed with the subject of the day. So yeah, we got JD and Vet in the chat, but they're also here. We got Geek the Sneak in the chat. What's up, Ayo? We got Ambi. Good seeing you here. Welcome to Playing in the Stars. Hey, chat. Purple Haze. So, Geek the Sneak with long live Xbox. Yeah.
That deal got X blocked.
And we got Ashes to Ashes. What's up, man? JD, miss you, dude. Love the Atlanta pop-up stuff. Enjoying the beauty of the DLC, but not keeping me interested as much as the main story. No. Keep getting pulled away by the VR. Yeah. Ashes has the luxury of enjoying that VR stuff.
Yeah. Hey, real quick, shout out to Ashes, man. We're gonna link up, man, since you're out here in the ATL before I head out to Dallas, man. But yeah, man, if you haven't seen, man, check out that IGN video
I see how
on our channel, man.
It's near Minnesota. But you can hang out. It's all good.
Hey. Look, I can't go to cold places, man. I gotta stay in the warm.
I don't blame you. That's why I'm getting out of here.
JD needs the good climate, the temperate climate.
Yeah, look, man, I gotta come out there with shorts and all that stuff, man.
And Dead Island 2 is great. Nice. We got Thomas in the chat. Thomas Hewitt. Hi everyone. Also, Vet Gaming. When's the next stream? Already getting harassed to go back on streaming.
I know. Everybody's been hounding me. I've been busy. Twitter's been calling my name today at least.
So Ash is saying the monetization is bad for sure. Yeah, for Disney Speedstorm, it's a bit intense, a bit more than I was expecting. But the gameplay, though, still felt fantastic for the game. Geek the Sneak saying, I don't see the point of console wars, but I see you, Vet. And Thomas, hopefully the deal pulls through. I'm excited to see what comes from this deal.
I don't think he knows.
Yeah, the appeal is not happening.
Yeah.
No,
we're gonna talk about that in a moment, but yeah, it's gonna be a subject of conversation. Console war for the fanboys going in and on Twitter, lol. Gotta have fun.
See, for me, it's not console war. Me, it's just talking shit because I fucking hate the product.
Sasha says, "All right, have fun popping your champagne. I'll have to play more games. See you, Ashes. Good to see you in here." And mostly Martinez, what's up?
What's it going,
Hey,
buddy?
what's good, everyone? Thomas says, "Hopefully Disney Speedstorm doesn't become pay to play. Pay to play system. It's they still like give you enough on stuff that without
It's
paying
mobile monetization though. That's the only problem.
it's pretty
Because
much
it's Gameloft. But again, if they screw it up and people keep complaining and it keeps getting pushed and they don't fix it, then they're out the door.
yeah.
Well, yeah, Disney will be like, well, this partnership was fun. Let's go find
So eventually
They
they're
don't
gonna
find
get
ways.
pressured into fixing that if people are not liking it and people are migrating away from the game because it has potential. The kart racer has potential. So
You have to make it more rewarding, if anything.
yeah.
So.
So big subject for today. CMA has basically unveiled their ruling, like their decision for the Activision Blizzard King's acquisition by Microsoft. And it actually went down to cloud gaming, which they ruled that Microsoft would have basically unfair advantage over the market
Oh,
that would make it unfair for others to even compete.
wow.
I'm trying so hard not to laugh because that shit I sent into our chat where it's literally their marketing is, hey, you don't need a console anymore. So they shoot themselves in the foot.
But doesn't that sound vaguely familiar? I swear I've heard that same reasoning behind a Microsoft and cornering the market before, like in the 90s. I recall that in reading about it and
Like-
following that whole thing.
How do you
think
shoot
they
yourself
learned
in the
from their
foot, man?
mistakes, but clearly they didn't.
No, man, they shot themselves in the foot. I'm glad they got denied. Fucking idiots. They're like, oh, we don't need a console to play our games. So let's advertise the shit out of cloud in the Series S. Because fuck the Series X. It's not like that's our best one.
So
This is my thing with Microsoft, man, and
They're dumb as
Xbox,
shit.
man. Like I've been saying, and you can go back and watch the episodes, man. We want Xbox to compete, man, and everybody was really fired up for Halo Infinite, just the new games that they were showcasing, all this stuff, all this talk about they even wanted to come out this gen, rushing this gen because last gen, they was all jacked up. And so they come out, with all this talk, all this thing about, this console is the most powerful console. We got the games, give us time, give us this and give us that, and we're gonna go Game Pass, we're gonna put games everywhere, and we're gonna make money that way. And as a consumer, I'm just like, what reason are you giving me to pay $500 for the Series X and all these delays keeps happening? We're on the second year of this thing. All these delays for your games. All these games are not optimized correctly for the most part. Issues with development time, studios folding, people leaving the studio. They're still asking for more time. Phil Spencer keeps talking about well, there's no more excuses now because of COVID's been over. Other people are getting games out. Nintendo, PlayStation is getting games out. They're talking about Game Pass being like, this new thing. But if I can play my games anywhere, what is the purpose of me buying the console? And then if I'm buying the console and you're not optimizing these games correctly, then what's the point of advertising you got the most powerful box in the world to play games? That's my frustration with Microsoft, because you're not committing or competing to the industry standard. As much as people want to talk about PlayStation, as much as people want to talk about Nintendo and how Nintendo and PlayStation get away with so much stuff, Microsoft gets away with so much stuff and so much crap as well. Why can they not compete as an industry standard with Nintendo? And Nintendo has the weakest console. You talking about Splatoon can run at 60 frames per second, but Redfall running at 30 frames per second as a first-person shooter. What kind of sense does that make?
But JD, there's a big difference though. Nintendo, they advertise what the fuck they're giving you. It's nostalgia. That's it. They advertise it. They own up to it. Xbox doesn't own up that, hey, we give you shit games, and we'll pretend it's good, and then fix it later because, we're in the whole generation of patches, because that's how this works. It's like, give me your fucking money for Game Pass, and here's $30 for your DLCs, and, get fucked. Thank you for your money, and eventually we'll fix the game. Hopefully.
One of the main problem right now we're seeing is that we're, 1/3 of generation in, if we go by the standard 7 years? Huh?
It's almost about to be 3 years.
Yeah.
In November, it's going to be 3 years.
So it's about past 1/3 of this console gen. Like, normally it's 7 or 8 years a console gen.
For the cycle.
For the cycle. So we're past like 1/3.
Yeah.
Xbox has Forza Horizon 5. That's seen as a gorgeous game that's utilizing the console well.
That's only for the Series X. Did we ever see the Series S? That shit's gonna look like ass. It's gonna be fucking potato.
I'm not talking about Forza Motorsport. I'm talking about Horizon 5. That came out a while ago. It looks good for what it is. And I think it's the only game up to now on the Xbox since the series came out that's really utilizing the hardware that came out that had a good reception up to now, and all the rest is constant delays or big major titles that are actually not, like Redfall was supposed to be contender for Game of the Year, but the graphics have been downgraded. It's now 30 FPS, and we're seeing a lot of things that we were expecting out of that game that it's not delivering. So Xbox needs to fix some stuff, evidently, in how they manage their studios, how they do quality control. But now they were trying to acquire the Activision Blizzard Kings, which how many employees are in that organization? I think it's like 18,000, something like that.
Dude, it's one of the biggest publishers, period. And it's stupid.
But we're seeing also Microsoft laying off over 10,000 employees, including about 1,000 across Xbox Studios.
Because their model, fuck talent, throw money.
So clearly there was some stuff that the CMA was worried about, and now we're seeing that they're laying it out on the cloud. But they had a general idea of where they were going with that. It's sad for Microsoft, but we talked about it before. We're not that surprised by the decision. Hey, John, what's up, man? Aloha. So, Purple A's, can I ask you your opinion on this, where you stand and what you feel about it? I know it might clash with our stand.
No, I mean, I made videos. I took a lot of heat since the end of last year for making videos, making public stances that this deal was not going to go through. Right? I talked about it on quite a bit of shows. on different podcasts, and I made at least 3 videos about the like what I saw were the facts of the case and not anything Sony was doing, but really looking at the personalities, looking at what they were putting out, and looking at the actions of the company. And so I don't like I wasn't surprised at all. You know, the people very close to me understood. If anything, I kept driving myself crazy because I was like, am I crazy? Why is everybody saying this still's going to go through? You know, and I couldn't understand it. Like, people think today was the final report, but people you know, this just shows a lack of understanding about the process the CMA went through. The preliminary report was basically the nail in the coffin for this deal. You know, everything that the CMA said today was in the preliminary report. And then when the EU said, like, hey, we're gonna, you know, relook the concessions, and the CMA did not, that was a telltale sign that this deal was not good. Like, it took like a leap of logic for me to understand like why this would go through. And so whether it's not on cloud gaming, you know, they also used subscription services. That was another market they were looking at. You know, and they went and talked about that. But I think the cloud, because there has been so much analysis done on the future growth of that, it was the easiest one to stick. But at the end of the day, this was hubris on Microsoft's part. You know, that they basically didn't just tiptoe across that line, but they jumped over it and they dared the CMA to block it. And we saw who actually, you don't poke a bear because they're already kind of pissed off at a $2 trillion company. So I don't, part of me feels like Microsoft knew this was going to be like, I don't think this was a surprise to Microsoft. I'll say it like that.
Yeah, I think you're right on this. There's multiple factors on this where, for me, it was clear that it was going to be blocked, and I was surprised at seeing like the CMA authorize it on the console side at first, but then saying we're going to take a decision about the cloud. But it's the fact that Microsoft went through exactly the same thing when they acquired Bethesda. And when that happened, Phil Spencer was questioned by the CMA about whether or not they had the intention of taking the games that were in production at Bethesda and blocking them from going into their competitors, mainly PlayStation, because we know PlayStation and Xbox is one market. Nintendo is not even part of that market. Nintendo is in its own bubble. Everything that PlayStation and Xbox do, it's one against the other, and it's a very limited market. That's why it's been shown like that in all of the studies that they've done, the graphs and everything. So they literally asked Phil Spencer if he had the intention of withholding the Bethesda title from PlayStation, and he said that it wouldn't be in the best interest of Microsoft to do so, which basically means no, we won't do that. But then turn around once the acquisition was completed, and because the wording he used wasn't clear, it kind of gave him a leeway of, okay, well, Starfield, which was supposed to go to PlayStation, it was all but announced, is going to be an Xbox exclusive, and the future Elder Scroll title is also Xbox exclusive. That I basically alluded it in an interview, pretty much confirmed, which kind of, I'm pretty sure, pissed off some people at the CMA. Now, that is one thing that happened. Trying to remember, there's some other stuff that happened. Clearly, Microsoft wasn't falling within the the lines of what the CMA was dictating was fair behavior for competition, and Microsoft was treating this not as an investigation for knowing if it's anti-competitive, but as a popularity contest. They were trying to win the public over. You're in front of the CMA. You're not trying to convince the public. You're trying to convince the CMA. Trying to get the public to do harassment on the CMA because you want basically it to look like you're the popular dude. That's not the way to do it. You have to bring your proofs to the CMA and show that yes, you won't be hurting competition. It will remain a competitive market. That's not what they did. They went for the public. They went for the popularity contest. So
That's what got them in the foot, man, because the PR thing, and I've been saying this since I've been on doing these shows and podcasts, man. Like Microsoft has a great PR team, man. Like all the stuff that they be flooding out there to like get the public to be like, yo, you know, everything that they do is a great move. And it's like, man, y'all don't see through this. Y'all can't see what Microsoft is really doing to gaming and to fans of Xbox. And so for them to go and like try to get the public hype, try to get them to go and get Congress all hyped up and all that other stuff, man, it was just a bad move on Microsoft, man. But man.
Yeah, I mean, I think the play that Microsoft and the CMA kind of cut this off from the beginning. They had said from the very beginning that they were not open to behavioral remedies. And they explain why, right? And it's in the law. Like this isn't like they're following the law. And the CMA, the only angle I think Microsoft was trying to take was that basically that this was a public good, that the public good outweighed the theory of harm. Yeah, the theory of harm basically to the market. And I think what they found out is, you know, in surprise, but not really surprise, most people, like as a whole, do not necessarily care about gaming. Microsoft buying Activision and Call of Duty. And I think again, they were trying to feed into the console war narrative, which Microsoft, in my opinion, does the most of to get their base rallied around the cause. But unfortunately for them, like 4 or 5 years ago, this deal would have went through. Today, you have the CMA, the FTC, and the EU all on the plane on the same book, all sharing the same notes. It's really surprising, kind of just how many gamers right now are being hit with reality when if you just listen to the people talk, listen to what they write, not what Destin or Hogue Law say, right? And Hogue, he's a good guy, but a couple of the others, if you just read for yourself what they say, it's pretty clear that allowing the second largest tech company to then go and make a purchase like this was not in their agenda.
Mm-hmm. And yeah, they've been trying to public way too much on this, and like everyone was talking about how Jim Ryan was saying this and saying that. How many times did Jim Ryan make public comments?
No, I think you're.
It's a big zero.
No, I think the biggest comment we got was from
Lulu Chang.
Activision PR, all right?
From Lulu Chang, who's the board member of Activision Blizzard. Yeah.
Yeah, for saying what he said and then dissecting like what maybe was in an email and trying to figure out, did PlayStation say this, or like you read the notes, the CMA doesn't say which competitor said what.
And not only that, she divulged information that was in behind closed door event session, which then she said, oh, well, it was not at one of the moments that was stipulated as being not available to the public, so it's fine. No, the moment you step into a room that's on a behind the door closed event, nothing that's being said gets out of the room without prior authorization. So she broke some rules on top of that, and she had a lot of money riding on this, money that she just lost. Mm-hmm. And people are talking about doing an appeal on this. They're already starting to do an appeal against the CMA. That's not happening.
Yeah, I don't think people quite understand what the appeal process. The appeal process, and you all know this, Dr. Simpson, you definitely know this. The appeal process should have happened during the preliminary findings. That's why they do the preliminary findings. The appeal process now And Vet, you know this as you know, a disabled veteran. At
Yeah.
this point, you can only do an appeal process if something in the actual process did not go by law. They will not relook. They've already given Microsoft enough chances to relook. I mean, there's just so much misinformation about what actually is going to happen. Like people are saying, well, they can just go without the UK. You can't. Like, I've been pretty open that I think this deal right now, the person who's most happy about this deal isn't Phil Ryan, right? Or
Jim Ryan.
Jim Ryan, right? It's not Jim Ryan. The person who's most happy in my analysis is Bobby Kotick. Like, right, if you understand the personalities that are involved with this, Bobby Kotick.
Yeah, you man's gonna get $3 billion.
He's not only is that, no one's talking. Bobby Kotick never wanted to step down, and I think this is like as someone who's personally talked to Bobby Kotick, and attest to this dude's like a pretty big asshole. There's no way in it. Like, it blows my mind for like Bobby Kotick is never going to bow down to Phil Spencer.
Yep.
Ever. And Bobby Kotick, I believe, knew all along that this deal wasn't going to go through. It's just very clear to me that this whole thing was to take away from the investigations that were on him, because no one is talking about sexual harassment now.
Yeah.
At Activision, right? No investors, if anything, are saying potentially Activision Blizzard is worth more than $95 a share, right? Because of what he's been able to do with Call of Duty and potentially a Game of the Year nominee in Diablo 4. I mean, this dude is riding high. And everybody else is like caught up in like this appeal, and Microsoft can do this. And all along, clear as day in the contract, if you read the actual agreement that was signed, is the onus is all on Microsoft. The deal gets delayed, it's on Microsoft. If Microsoft doesn't do everything humanly possible, it literally says something very close to this wording.
Yep.
The Activision Blizzard gets $3 billion. Not only that, Activision Blizzard can now go back and sue Microsoft. And people don't realize that. And we're not talking like a $10-20 million suit. We're talking a multi-billion-dollar suit.
Because this devalued ABK.
This did.
Yeah, their stock went by a lot.
And now then you have to think about the other business dealings that they had to do, that they could not do efficiently. So now that's what all this other publicity is going about. Is because now Microsoft has to try to cross all the T's, dot all the I's, right? And then on top of that I already mentioned about like how he potentially didn't want this, deal to go through. And you can see multiple actions. Like one of the biggest things that was missed in the general gaming news, but not on Wall Street, Bobby Kotick went and hired Morgan Stanley as to partake in activist investors and potentially with the potential that the deal will fall through. Like they were making moves behind the scenes way before on this deal. And so in my opinion, like about Dr. Spaceman, I wasn't surprised about this.
Yeah.
Like I think everything was clear as day to me. And I think I was driving myself crazy over the last month or so, because I was like, how are these journalists, and granted, all the journalists that are quoted in Twitter,
they get paid.
Yeah, but it's like, where's your like?
There's no integrity. This has been shown like years ago. There's no integrity. Everyone will say whatever they have to because they're getting the paycheck. Lulu is over here acting a professional because she wants a paycheck.
Yeah.
And she wants to have these Xbots over here to like rally up. Like, what the fuck is that gonna do? You already fucked up. And here's my thing. There's only one Xbox person that actually replied with like common sense when I literally stated, great, now they can shut the fuck up, actually invest that $69 potential billion they had to utilize, invest in them damn selves, keep the damn talent, get rid of the 18-month contracts once and for all, for the love of God, and then literally like get rid of the Series S, because what are they going to do mid-grade for the upgrade? What are they going to do? Get a Series X Pro or some shit, and then what? Now they have to make it for 3 different platforms. It's going to be fucking horrendous. How do you think the developers are going to feel? Everyone's literally going to like stop. Look at Square Enix. Look at all these other third parties. It's not that they, signed this deal and Sony's the all evil corporate or whatever. It's business. It takes 2 to tango. They want their money. If they're not making sales, why the hell are they going to waste their resources and then put it on the platform that they know is not going to do shit? It makes no sense on the business standpoint.
The exclusivity deal thing, on top of that, if you go back at the beginning of gaming, it wasn't an exclusivity deal. Platforms were paying studios to develop games for their platform. Most games were not cross-platform. That came after a while. There was some rare games like Mortal Kombat came to Sega Genesis and Super Nintendo. You played both versions. They played very different. Wasn't the same game at all. So it used to be platforms would hire studios to make games for them. If they already had a game and you wanted it on your platform, they had to do a lot to make a version for your platform. So it was not an exclusivity deal. It was just making the game for the platform. And now this has gone over for a very long time, and then eventually, like around the PS2 era and GameCube and the original Xbox, platforms started to be more similar one to another, and now they were able to bring a very similar version of the games on every platform, just do a bit of tweaking. So this is quite recent in a sense in the gaming market. So now Sony signing exclusive deals with Square Enix, that is business as it's always been. It's not anti-competitive. It's just how the business is done. And
it's because everyone has that Game Pass mentality. No one's actually buying the fucking games.
Yeah, and
I don't buy games. I don't even buy the fucking games. You know what's even the sadder part? I've actually spent more money on my PlayStation buying the games, and I don't even give a shit because later on I see it pops up on PlayStation Plus. I'm like, oh well, they deserved it though. They did a hell of a job for the game. Why not?
Yeah,
that's how business works. You gotta
go ahead.
Nothing's free in America, man. There's no such thing as free. You get what you pay for.
There's no such thing, man. And that was the mentality behind these gamers, and that's what Microsoft was rallying behind. Like, let's give out stuff for, like, okay, we can't compete with PlayStation 4, so let's concede and let's go this subscriber count. And if we can get subscribers on board, then we can probably, rework some things and go forward. And then so now they try to get right, put everybody in their favor, and so now everybody's all like, well, Game Pass is only $1. Now it's not $1. Now Game Pass subscriptions are going up and will continue to rise, and we get Game Pass for free, and we can play it everywhere, and we don't have to buy the most powerful console. We got the S and backwards compatibility, and all of these things are like bells, like add-ons to gaming, man. Like, if I get a free game, that's dope. That's cool. You know what I mean? But they don't owe me a free game. None of these companies owe me a free game. None of these companies.
It's a perk.
It's a perk. It's an addition, right? I'm paying for quality. I'm paying for you deliver me a service, something that I'm paying for. And if you're not doing that, you're not delivering on what you're promising to give me, I have an issue with you now, because I'm spending money and my friends are spending money, and you're not delivering on what you said that you're going to do. You're not delivering on first party titles on time. You're not delivering on getting even good games on Game Pass. You're not delivering on getting other games where people keep talking about Square Enix and Sony and Nintendo, but nobody on Xbox playing JRPGs. It goes back to this being an American console. Everybody keeps saying I bring that up, but you have to know that Xbox is an American company with Western developers for the most part. So all these games are not catered to Japanese, and a lot of these gamers that are Xbox, and you guys probably know them, if you talk about Final Fantasy, they heard of it, but they ain't really playing it like that. They're not really playing RPG, JRPGs, anime stuff. There's more games in the PlayStation catalog that are Japanese games, catered games, and a lot of American players aren't playing that. They're playing Madden, Call of Duty, the casual stuff. They're not playing these games, and then they say, oh well, Game Pass is giving me some of these gems, but I'm getting those same games eventually on PlayStation. I'm getting those same games eventually on Nintendo. Like the library is just larger. You know what I'm saying? I don't want to continue to keep paying for or playing backwards compatibility games. That's a nice perk and a nice feature, but you're selling me a $500 console. You're selling me this thing.
Yeah. I mean, to tell you, I think Xbox. I totally agree with you, JD, on this. I mean, they made it about the power of the console, and now you're trying to go with the cloud. I think Xbox has found out, they've never publicly stated it, but gaming has kind of moved away, and I've talked about this before. Gaming's moving away from the model that Xbox had put out there, right? And we talk about Game Pass, and this doesn't get talked about as much, but to me, it's like a very telling thing. The highest grossing games right now are all free to play games, right?
Yep.
And if you're putting so much money into Game Pass, right, which Microsoft tried to do even with this $70 billion deal, and people are actually are playing more games there's more gamers ever now, but they're playing free to play games. How do you get them to go pay for Game Pass? Right? Like you have, like, if you look at the top 10 play games right now, and if you look at the top 20, there's only like 3 or 4 that are played. And we're not talking mobile, right? We are talking games that you can go right now, play on GFN, play on PlayStation, play on Xbox, play on PC. And this is where Microsoft finds itself in. It has not been able to compete on the console level, right? It has not been able to have the game level, like, right? I can only imagine what the decision makers at Microsoft are looking at when they see Xbox, and then they see Nintendo make $1 billion+ movie, and it's like, what have you done with our IP? There's so much, like, Xbox at the end of the day, in my opinion, the biggest issue they had, even if this deal went through, mostly Martinez says he doesn't even think if it went through, it would have made a difference. Microsoft just never understood in their market, particularly.
There's no identity for them. That's the problem.
Yeah. It's like, how does this feed into Windows subscription? Like if you look at the businesses that drive Microsoft, right? And not saying gaming doesn't.
It's subscriptions.
Right. It's subscriptions, or it's cloud on the enterprise. That's where Microsoft makes all their money.
Yeah.
Right. And gaming makes it significant, but profitability nowhere close to what those others are.
No.
And so I think this is the problem Microsoft has had for a long time. I don't know if this deal would have solved that. If anything, I think the CMA did Microsoft a solid here to tell them, like, all right, go figure out what you need to do. If that means you need to go figure out another head of gaming, another strategy, you need to double down with the studios you have. I don't know what it is, but right now, something's got to change. And if not, and maybe not, right? If Microsoft was an independent company, they probably would have went out of business. Or Xbox.
How would you change Xbox if you was in charge?
Reinvest in themselves. That's it. Simple.
If I was in charge?
Yeah, if you was in charge.
Two different. I look at it 2 different ways.
So
you either strip it down, right? Because I think this latest earnings report showed that you can be very profitable if you focus on AI and if you focus on cloud. If you're a big company, so either you strip it down from a gaming perspective, like from a business perspective, or if you're a gamer type of perspective, again, you start to figure out who is your core market and you double down on that, and everything else you cut out. Like, I think, like, Microsoft is at that point now that you have too many things under this umbrella and there's no cohesion for a current gaming company. Like, if you look at like, for them to have missed the mobile market is a huge strategic failure for whoever's in charge of gaming there. right? For them to, I mean, you own all of Windows. Like, you cannot play a PC game basically right now without having a Windows subscription of some sort.
So, just to
So-
show what the impact of the CMA decision has on Microsoft and where it's steering them, this is the last 5 days stock market price of Microsoft Corporation. And this jump here from $275 a share to $275.42 to $294.68, and now it's like $295.90 in aftermarket.
Damn, why am I not invested?
That's when the CMA refused the deal. Microsoft saw this as a good news. And this is 100%. There's no other news that came out.
Their earnings just came out yesterday. That was the big thing. Their
Oh,
earnings.
Yeah.
the earnings?
Yeah,
The
the
earnings
earnings came out yesterday.
Okay.
Yeah, the earnings is the reason.
Yeah, but it wasn't
Because
that.
the CMA thought that they thought the CMA was going to approve, so it went up. But in reality, that didn't happen.
Right, it went down.
Yeah, but the
It went
earnings
down.
were not that great, though.
Earnings were no. This one I traded. So Vet says he wishes he traded. I traded this. No, the earning after they announced yesterday,
They're going to close the deal.
That's what did it.
Okay.
And so if anything, what you're seeing is what you may see later on in July, which I would also probably invest in, is if they're going to reinvest that $70 billion to stockholders. But this isn't because of the CMA. You wouldn't get this type of jump because it's because cloud outperformed and AI added to Bing.
Yeah, AI, they did do really well with that. But
Yep. But
still,
it's not the CMA. That's not the CMA.
still, you would think that the CMA blocking that, because that is costing them $3 billion in fees right now, and now they want to go and appeal. We're talking about more costs for something that historically will not happen. The CMA doesn't let stuff like that be discussed and appeal and be
How much is
reversed.
this? How much do you think this is going to cost Microsoft overall? Like from start to finish?
A fuckload.
How much money do you think they're pissing away on this?
A lot.
It probably
It's billions, man.
$8 billion total. $3 billion in the fee, $5 billion in the lawsuit that's going to follow.
yeah.
And it's
I was
going
going
to
to say
amount
eight
to
or above.
another L for Microsoft.
But
Here's the
Yeah.
thing that I don't get though. The fact that, because I was reading the comments, Martinez was saying, how did they see as Xbox being a leader in anything? Here's the thing. They said it them damn selves. They had a graph that was like, 60 to 70% of cloud gaming is coming through xCloud, which is surprising because it runs like shit. And then it's over here. They're like, we need Activision in order to put COD on cloud gaming platforms. Why the fuck do you need Activision? Like, or why does Microsoft have to have the whole acquisition completed before even doing that? Why the fuck can't Activision just do it themselves? Be like, hey, you want to play our fucking Call of Duty game on cloud? Here you go. It makes no sense. They didn't show any good faith. They just came up with these concessions and bullshit just to seem like they're in the goodwill, but nothing was ever done. Nothing was ever shown. No games ever went on any of the services. Then you got Boosteroid actually bitching about it. Oh, this would have been great for gaming. I'm like, how?
The thing is,
It would have been great for
every
their
single
pockets.
concession they've done was not against competitors in terms of the model. So they go to GFN, they go to Boosteroid, they went to
Yeah, but what I'm
multiple
saying is
companies that are
it's
just
stupid.
providing like a cloud medium for playing the game, but not really a storefront. So PlayStation got a shitty offer, and PlayStation used that in the rebuttal. They detailed what Microsoft offered them, and you can clearly see the wording that what they offered is actually gonna force them to increase the price of a PlayStation Plus Premium in order to have Call of Duty on there, and that it just doesn't math out. But
And then another
Microsoft
thing-
went in and redacted the amounts and everything to try to hide from the public what.
Yeah, they shot themselves in the
it is.
foot. I don't give a shit. They
So-
they fucked it up.
And
Yeah,
other
they
than
shot
that,
themselves in the foot.
I just
They're
want to
fucking
finish
idiots.
that point. Amazon didn't get an offer as well for Luna, which
Yeah, but that's
was
different, though.
who they consider also a competitor.
For what? They competed against themselves. They're the only ones with fucking renting services. It's like Netflix, but for gaming, and it's ass. The catalog is horrible. It's good for like very, very, very casual gamers who are just getting their feet wet. They're great. Those are good for
Luna
them. That's
is
like
just getting
6%.
started. They just expanded in more countries. It'll
That
be
doesn't mean
interesting to
anything.
see. Huh?
That doesn't mean anything.
Well, I have
more
to
people are
see
gonna
what
play
time-
My Little Pony. What the fuck they got?
Well, I have to see what time once they bring back games and if they add like the option to buy games. Well, I have to see what time. But
Yeah, if it goes an actual storefront, that's different. Then that could have been a good offer for the Luna. But Luna is just a little subscription service just to play little games. It's not that great. I mean, it's cool. They have great tech. They have the money for it if they wanted to actually invest. But they're just like dabbling into it slowly, I guess.
Mhm.
And hopefully they'll expand. I don't know.
going back to what Phil Spencer said a while ago, he saw his competition not as Sony and Nintendo, but as Google, Amazon.
And
being
Google
their
killed themselves.
competitor. Google
Right, and then Google
went out
killed
against
And then they
themselves.
fucked up the ceiling.
And I don't understand how the Xbox fans didn't see this coming, because they was all like, Game Pass is the future, Game Pass, everybody's on Game Pass, PlayStation don't have no, the PlayStation Plus ain't competing with Game Pass. So Microsoft was already getting the fans hyped that they are the market leaders in cloud streaming.
But guys, let's go over this real quick. Nintendo does the shittiest subscription service on the planet, and they still have people. They have probably more people than Game Pass people, correct? All right. PlayStation Plus has their own version of the way they run it, where you have to wait about a year before you even get their exclusives. It's not day and date. You wait a year. We all know the reason why, because it's common sense. It's a business. They want to get the sales out the door. They give it enough time. They market it. They literally have their on Twitter feed. They're marketing the games. They have these videos. They do Twitch streams of these games to get more on notice. What does Microsoft do? Let me make a fucking hoodie for a controller so you don't get dusty because you haven't played your shit in like over 6 months because we can't offer games. What the fuck am I going to spend $25 on a little jacket that can fit my damn chihuahua? I mean, if I buy two, get one free, that'd be nice, Fuck. Although dog's going to have a little zipper and everything. Like, who comes up with this? Who's marketing? And then when somebody called them out on their marketing, they're like, oh, there's more to it. I'm like, no, it's not that complicated. Know your fucking target audience. Know that it's gamers. People want to see the games. They want to see it being marketed. They want to see you actually invest in your studios in talent instead of people walking out the door, because people have literally blatantly said the studios are a fucking joke. No one's actually managing anything. It's like a fucking zoo. The CMA is like the mom that has to come in and step and say, no, Tommy, you ain't getting shit. All right? You want to appeal? The answer again is going to be no. All right? How many times I got to tell you? You want to ask whooping?
They're gonna roll up a newspaper and just smack them on the head. No.
Like, Xbox is a little kid that's being punished at this point.
No.
And it's a
But
joke
that
because
goes
they're
back-
a $1 trillion company. Like, how the
That
fuck?
goes back into what Purple Haze was saying and what I've said on this podcast previously before, is that Xbox, what is their identity? Sony's
They don't have one.
identity
There
is
isn't any. There used to be Halo.
Sony's identity is first party, exclusive, cinematic experience. That's their identity. They're trying to get over into multiplayer, right? We see that. Nintendo's identity is, family friendly, fun content. Xbox identity, after 360 era, I don't know what their identity
You know what
is.
their identity is? Always next year. They're like what was it I told you, Vet? They're like the Commanders. Always next year.
Oh.
We can't
you
win
had
for
to go
shit,
there.
but there's always next year.
No, it's not the Commanders. It's the Cowboys. Let's get it real.
Now it's going to be the Cowboys.
Every year, we're gonna get it. We're gonna
Look
get
at this. Look
done.
at, hey, you know what this is called, guys? You want to give it a round of applause? It's called marketing. There you go. Look at that. Who would have thought it's so hard to do?
I can't trust a company with my money if they don't have no identity, man. If they don't know what direction they're going in, they don't know what market they're going in, they don't know what they're looking for, what they want outside of just money, people's money. I can't trust that company, man.
Hey, you
I
know
can't
where my
trust you
money's
to do
going?
anything right.
The ROG Ally. You know why? Because it runs better than the Series shit. All right?
Oh.
$700 and it runs better than that piece of crap. I don't even care if it's a little bit more. It runs better than it. I can actually play games on it.
So do y'all think
For
the
anyone
FTC is going to approve this deal.
Yeah, show that
they're-
beauty.
No.
That's a
isn't
real
gonna get to
competitor.
this is not gonna. I've said this isn't gonna get to the FTC. Like this, like the deal
Ugh.
has to be renegotiated in July, and at that time, Activision, I've already said, got what they wanted. They never were gonna sell, right? They're gonna walk away. Microsoft is gonna walk away because I think like once ChatGPT showed, like, oh wow, this is actually what we should probably invest in. And once you start, you no longer have the Stadia threat from a consumer side. The other big tech company that changed their name to the metaverse, they don't even talk about the metaverse.
Oh, they stopped investing in it.
Yeah, like it's gaming.
It's because it got a lot
had
of backlash though, and it kept always going to the court.
Yeah,
So.
but it's still gonna be like gaming had its apex in 2020 and 2021. Like it had this huge shot up, and I'm not saying it's gonna come crashing down, but it's not sustaining that momentum. Like it's now AI. Like that's the brick shiny thing. That's the pretty girl at the prom or the hot dude, depending on who you are. I know, you know. And so if you're Microsoft, you're just like, no, we don't want this. Like I always said, if this deal even had the remote chance of going through, it was going to be the saddest $70 billion deal in the history of $70 billion deals. Just because it does not make sense from a business standpoint. 6 ways to Sunday.
Yeah, and Sony actually invests in AI, right? They did with the Gran Turismo, the Sophie event, and even with the Last of Us remake for the PS5, a lot of AI stuff. Sony is talking about AI, using AI more in their games. They're talking about
Well, Yoshida said that AI is becoming so amazing in terms of the tech and how it operates that they are able to even develop games at this rate, and they might not even need developers. It can make it work even easier. You know what it's going to be good for? That's going to be for Microsoft because, hey, at least the AI can develop a fucking game on time. And at 60 frames. Look at that.
Oh my god! But
Yeah, it will hit 60 FPS.
that's a disgruntled customer right there. He spent his money.
I'm sorry. I have a shit. I'm looking at it right now. It's a piece of shit. I have 4 controllers and a freaking hard drive, and I can't even utilize it properly. Why? Because
You got an Xbox fridge.
You know what
you got
that
that
is?
fridge and that blanket.
It's
You got
your-
that fridge and that blanket and the Oreos.
Yeah.
Something.
You know what
know
you're
what this
looking at?
reminds
It's your future PSVR 2, man.
You know, this reminds me of like when you're like dating someone and you both know it's over, and you just like start going just like insulting each other in person, and you're just like,
Yes.
man, like yo, like
I even
like,
smacked the
it's
Xbox. That's how disappointed I am.
It's just like
That's
it's
a
like that.
disappointment.
Y'all are right now at like I don't know, pick your IHOP or Buffalo Wild Wings type of place, and y'all are just going at it in front of everybody. Like y'all are there together, but y'all are not there together.
Where's my
Like, you know what I
popcorn?
mean? Like, that is what's going on here.
Yep.
I got the right to, man. Spent all that damn money. You can't even freaking utilize it. Piece of shit.
I know you were so mad you could have had Xbox Game Pass on your Windows phone.
Like who the hey, you know what's funny though? They have an identity. It's shooting themselves in the fucking foot. They fucked up this deal. They couldn't even do a proper SSD storage option. Look at this shit. They just keep fucking it up more and more. They can't develop games either. Like, damn, what the hell are they gonna do right? Oh, AI at least. Why don't they use the AI to make their games? Shit.
And people got mad. People got mad at me because I didn't buy an Xbox yet at the beginning of the gen. Oh, if you really for parody and you a gamer, like you would have bought an Xbox. I'm like, nah, I'm waiting to see what they're going to produce.
I had one, but I sold it for a PS5.
But JD, here's what's even worse.
Too much
Microsoft is investing more money in the ROG Ally than they are the Series S. Or no, the Series X, my bad. They're like, fuck everybody else, you know? Their own console. They're like, let's invest in this handheld because this is going to be the shit and this is going to make a lot of money, you know? And we're going to put Game Pass on that motherfucker too, you know? Because Game Pass.
It was funny. All the cloud gamers, right? They was all like on Stadia. Then they was all on GFN. Then it
Oh,
was
they're
all
not
on
writing everything. They're the
Game
worst
Pass.
bandwagon. Oh my gosh.
I mean, they just keep switching, and I was just like, okay, y'all do y'all, man. But
Can I say names? There's so many names I've seen on my Twitter
Go
feed.
for
Holy
it.
shit.
I mean, you've already called. I mean, I threw out. I called out the Xbox. You may as well join me. I'm out.
Like, who the fuck was it? Oh man, there's Lee. There's one other person. What the fuck's his name? Who does his own vlog? He was talking to YouTube, Doc. I saw the comments on their timeline. You guys were going back and forth. I forget who it was. Lee's one of them. Man, they're bandwagoning the shit out of everything. Fucking Stadia. Fuck, it's gonna die. No, it's not. Fuck you. Oh, okay. And then look what happened. It died. Man. Time to go to GFN. Fuck GFN. They got no games. Let's go to xCloud because it's even shittier, but they got more games. Man, fuck xCloud because we can't even do shit right. Who the fuck are we going to go to next? PlayStation? Nah, because then we're going to look like ponies. We fucking suck.
No, we're going to go to Windows. Windows won't let us down.
I don't want to pay my $70. I'm
It's like, bro, how desperate are you for clicks, man? Holy shit.
Just pirate that game.
So
they're as bad as the
on
journalists.
On all of this, like, we know they talk about going in appeal, but we know it doesn't hold.
We know that's
What do you
going to
guys-
fail miserably.
What do you guys think is going to be the next step for Microsoft and Xbox?
Brad Smith to shut the fuck up because he looks stupid. Oh, we're going to fucking appeal. We're going to get told it no a second time. That old fuck. That guy's stupid as shit.
I think they need to get rid of Phil Spencer.
Yes.
And I think they need to get rid of him. I think they need
Who's
to...
the other fucker, the head guy, the one that Vet talks about, the fucker who ruined my Windows phone?
Satya Nadella?
Yeah, that guy.
That
Yeah.
needs to go too.
Yeah.
I've never been. He doesn't want this. He's not worried about that. Nadella's only thing is worrying about the subscriptions. It's been that way. It was proven when he tried to get Windows to turn into a subscription service to get updates, and then
They try to reinvent the wheel and talk about MAUs, monthly active users. It's the same shit as sales. I'm like, no, it's not, motherfucker. That's the dumbest shit I've seen. Just because you're going to sell consoles.
He almost killed Windows itself by saying, "Hey, we're going to turn it into a subscription service. That's the only way you'll get your updates."
Here's the dumbest part.
And now look what he's doing. He's going to he's allowing Phil
No,
Vet,
what's stupid is they wanted to do a Windows mobile store if they got ABK, but why the fuck would you get rid of your Windows phone then? Who the fuck does shit ass backwards?
I'm telling you, that's because that was Phil.
It's like, hey, we killed our own fucking Windows phone, but hey, let's make a Windows phone app store. That's fucking genius.
They already had one, and it failed.
And what are they gonna put on Google? Oh yeah, because we already killed Stadia. Fuck, might as well.
Yeah, I don't. So, to get to your question, I think that it's gonna run their course. They're gonna try to see what the EU says. Once the EU kind of comes back with a solid no, because we already know that they're sharing notes on this, right? Or if the EU says yes, that is a possibility. It's still, I think, plays out into the end of whatever their fiscal year at the end of June, and the deal just falls apart. And then they say whatever. But I think Microsoft they have to at this moment continue to say that they're going to pursue the deal, or else, that essentially, the contract literally says, if Microsoft or Activision do not show faith in the deal, they will be penalized, and at that point they will still be open to lawsuits. So I think at this moment it's all risk mitigation until you can just make a clean cut.
Yeah, I mean that's why Brett Smith is tucking out his ass. He's like, shit, we're gonna get fucked either way. Might as well say we're gonna do an appeal.
The thing is, the appeal is just gonna cost way more money. It's
fake it till you make it, though. You gotta fake it till you make it, man. For a while, he's already said it, man. They're gonna be out the ass in fees. You might as well fake it till you make it. Hey guys, we're gonna do an appeal, to justify our little Xbox. We're trying our best to make this deal go through, but we know it's gonna be a no.
I'm just curious to see where that will stop. Is it the shareholders, the board that'll get involved in the decision making and say, okay, that's enough?
Yeah.
Because we know it's gonna end eventually.
Here's the worst part. I don't know if you guys saw the post, and if this is true, this is the dumbest shit ever if they go through with this. apparently can take up to 3 additional years with this appeal. And if that's the case, who in their right fucking mind as a business is going to invest or waste more money throughout 3 years when you can just, again, invest in your own people?
But that's
make
Microsoft's
names.
philosophy.
Insomniac just passed 520 employees.
Yes, look at that. It's so hard, right, Doc? To just invest in your own people.
We've been saying this since the beginning. $69 billion is way too much for acquiring wild elements that you won't have full control over for a very long time.
Yep.
To try to integrate them in your company. We've seen what's going on with Bethesda. They've been trying to integrate Bethesda as part of Microsoft Game Studios.
Everyone's leaving.
They've been delivering some games, but what is it?
Yeah, no, I didn't like to your point. I'll add something right after you.
Okay, well, the studios have been delivering some games. At first, it was going well. Now, there's kind of some trouble. Shinji Mikami left his own studio that he funded in Tango Gameworks. There's within Microsoft's own studios, Playground Games lost a ton of staff. A lot of staff. There's trouble within Bethesda, and they just laid off a bunch of people when Microsoft laid off their 10,000 employee. Bethesda was hit hard by that. And now they're trying to acquire another company instead of investing within the studios they already own. So Insomniac just went past 520 employees. There's other studios, PlayStation, that's been growing plenty. Naughty Dog is one of them. I don't have the exact count, but within the last few years, they've been growing a lot. Haven in Montreal started at 30 employees when they acquired them, and now they're going past 100 employees, and they got planned to grow a lot bigger. So that's what you do. You acquire small, you build a good work environment, and you build up. You hire more personnel, make sure that everyone is well trained, that there's a good dynamic. Microsoft has been reaching outside way too much, trying to acquire stuff and not monitor how it's been going. And now they just tried to go too big. And
well, here's another thing, Doc, though. Just like you said, it's about organic growth and working with these people, making a positive environment. How the fuck is a pervert, a Sigma attitude dickhead, who's still going to be in the studios, going to help their case? I mean, who the fuck wants that? No wonder everyone's going to leave. No wonder you have so many issues at ABK as it is. Like, who the hell wants to be under that person? Would you want to work for somebody who's like that? Hell no.
Phil.
Like, Purple Haze even said, like, come on now. Why the hell would you still let Bobby in there? No one in the contract say he's going to leave or anything. It's so stupid.
That's why.
So Bobby Kotick had no intention of
leaving. Exactly.
If you talk to Bobby Kotick, this dude is like
a dickhead.
Yeah, pretty much.
Legit. He's not. It's this dude. You could like be burning on fire, and he still wouldn't piss on you. Like, this dude is like that. That's like how
he looks like a fucking Oompa Loompa, and he wants to fucking talk shit. Man, fuck out of here.
It's so like
Donald Trump without the wig.
But yeah, no, I think like what to your thing about like building. I said this on the earlier call with that, and that is like big tech is not the best place for leadership. Period. Like a lot of these companies like hold on to their like former startup selves, and then they've become too big to actually do anything. Right? Google, people say I'm not critical. What has Google done? Google has spent so much in AI, and they still got beat by ChatGPT, right? Microsoft, big, like the stuff Microsoft really makes money on is just not sexy. It's Windows and workspace and cloud, like not xCloud, like Azure.
The servers.
Yeah, it's not sexy. Like Apple, like they had Steve Jobs in blue jeans and a black polo black turtleneck. Like, bring back, like, I don't know how many times we've seen the iPad reinvented, but they have not done anything since. Like, I give them credit on Apple TV and that stuff. It's like, I guess a broken clock can be right a couple of times, but still, like, big tech just is not good at this. And so when we talk about like getting a studio and building up that studio, they don't even do this with their own employees, right? Like outside of gaming, like to make a really great game, like the really solid ones, like Sony does it because it's a creative company. Nintendo does it because we've talked about nostalgia and they still can do it. But most of those other companies are independent companies, right? Those are amazing teams. When they get bought out, like think about it. You most likely worked at a big tech company if you were running a game studio to learn how to code. Once you you want to go start off on your own.
Yep.
And because you didn't get to do what you wanted to do at the big tech company. So once you go on your own and then you get bought out, one of two things are going to happen. You're going to be like, yo, I got my money, right? I'm out as the owner. Or you're going to be like, okay, I got acquired. You all are douchebags. I'm out as well.
Exactly.
Like, those are the two options you have. Like, there is no option of like people are like I was talking to Maker of Chaos about this. Maker's like, yeah, but sometimes they do really good. And they help the company out. And
you just had Maker Chaos. You lost all credentials there.
I'm gonna give Maker credit, but it's like that's not what happened.
Hey,
my man's is the equivalent of Phil Harrison.
I'm surprised Maker's not here. I'm surprised Maker's not here on the podcast. Right?
Guys,
Yeah.
that's the perfect solution to all this trash talk.
and he declined.
Perfect solution. Fuck Phil Spencer. We're gonna put Phil Harrison. All right. That's gonna be
Oh,
good.
no.
But one thing about Sony, though, and I saw a video the other day, I just came upon it. It's one of the co-founder of Sony that's actually been, back then he was ingraining that within the policies of the company. His motto was that executives are basically, trying to find a word. Basically, if the company's not going well, the executive are taken responsible for that. So if they have to lay off employees, a lot of companies, they'll lay off employees. They'll see that as, oh, it was a good way to save some funds, and we've actually profit from that, from cutting spendings. And the executives will give themselves big bonuses for laying off people, and we see it all the time. Yeah. And Sony, one of the co-founder of Sony was explaining, doing that goes against the business. If you're an executive in charge of a company and you have to lay off people, you should not, as an executive, be receiving bonuses. You should not be rewarding yourself for doing bad at your job so much that you have to lay off people.
Yeah, no, but I mean, this is Japan too, right? Like, where if Toyota does something wrong, like messes up a brake, executives at Toyota go to jail.
Yeah.
Like, right, Japan has like a serious culture of like honor and integrity. Yeah. To your point, the United States, we just went through, like, for people who are not following, every single tech CEO, with the exception of Apple, give Apple credit on this, have said that they mismanaged their business. In so many words, they said they mismanaged their business, they overhired, and now they have to lay off people. And Mark Zuckerberg relishes in this, and their stock price is going up. This is not leadership. I'm a huge advocate that technology companies do not have leadership. And when you take game companies, and to build a game, you have to have an amazing team. Amazing games have amazing teams. Blood, sweat, and tears, right? That's the name of a book that talks about the amazing development of games. You put it in tech, it's going to be toxic. It's not going to work. And I think Microsoft has shown, I mean, it's nothing on those workers. They're really hardworking. It's everything to do with their leadership. I am not
and these were telltale signs, because like when Phil Spencer, like you can go back and Google this stuff, man. Phil Spencer got put ahead of Xbox because he was the next in line. Like
Yeah,
it wasn't
basically.
off of merit. It wasn't off of merit that he became head of Xbox. It was just because he was the next in line under leadership once they fired the other dude
Yeah,
there.
and he fucked up
And
less, and now he's fucked
right,
up even more.
right.
So
And so now you have somebody that's in leadership that's not by merit. And like to Purple's point, right? Now they're looking at what are we really good at? Well, subscriptions. So let's shift the whole Xbox division to subscription service models. Now you're going off of that, and now you're not building any games from the ground up, and then you wonder why, like you said, you got all these. You're running the game division like a tech company, and all of these people are leaving the studios. Like what the Perfect Dark, the initiative, people left.
that went
You
to shit.
know, yeah, it
Everyone
went to
left.
stuff.
It was the
You,
writer, then the lead something. I forgot what else it was. Everyone kept leaving, and they kept swapping hands.
Right. And all these stuff, all these game development studios that Microsoft had, which was more than they already had more studios than than Sony.
They still do
I believe.
technically.
Yeah, they still do. And so, all these studios are going through leadership changes and issues and contract problems and agreements and all of these things. And it just all of these signs just tells me that Xbox does not know how to cater to gamers and what the gamers want. Only thing they know how to do is do the stuff that they're known for, which is make decent products from time to time, and get subscribers and add people to their service, and they got good PR. But that's about it. I don't see any advertisement. Again, I see PlayStation 5 advertisements everywhere. Hockey games, NBA games, NFL games. At the
Those
store.
big PlayStation 5 monoliths that have been put everywhere around the world.
Yeah, FIFA, movie theaters, AMC's, even Alamo, all these other places I go to.
I rarely see, unless I'm on Twitter, that's the only time I see an Xbox ad.
And I don't even see shit else that's on YouTube.
But like I said, I think it has to, it's nothing really against Xbox except their executive. It's tech. Like you make your money on Azure. Like you don't advertise that. It's like when we talked about Stadia. Like I'm sure the Stadia team would have been like, yes, let's advertise. And then you have some chief marketing officer somewhere who's like, well, we don't make money like that. No, we don't advertise Gmail. Like that's the mentality at these tech companies. Is that they're like,
when they founded Stadia, when Google
well, hold on, guys.
Stage
I'm about to just head out. My bad. I'm about to leave early today. Vet, you can keep on shitting on the Xbox for me. Continue the downfall for them.
I'll try to hold to your standard. I don't know if I can do it, but
see you,
because
Brian.
I'm just fucking done with that. But yeah, I'm about to spend time with the wife. I'll talk to y'all later. Take it easy.
Take it easy, bro.
See ya.
But because it falls so much, I'm just going to rearrange this. It falls so much in accountability of the executives and all. When they first announced Stadia, the first thing they said is that because Google knew that they didn't know how to run a gaming company, they were hiring the right people to do it, and that Stadia would be its own different division that Google would not get involved with other than providing the fundings. And first thing happened, COVID hit and shook basically every single industry. And first decision that Google took is like, okay, because this is an unusual event, we have to get back all the control of every division and stop hiring. And that hit Stadia bad because they were right in the middle of hiring. They went from 300 employees at SG&E. And 150 employees at SG&E, and they needed to grow at 3,000 employees within a year in their office in Montreal. And they had all the floors, all the offices ready for that, or being prepared. And all of a sudden, no more hiring for now. We'll let you know when you can hire again. And that's the execs at Google that decided that because unusual event, COVID is hitting. We don't know where it's going to head. We don't know the impact on the economy. but they never gave Stadia the control back, the control to start hiring again. They never let them take their own decision as to how the division would be managed, and we know how it ended up. So it's exec that got involved in a business that they should not have been involved with. They knew at the beginning that they didn't need that it was needed for them not to touch it, and in the end, Stadia fell, and those execs that were not supposed to get involved and did and ruined the whole thing, they're not held accountable.
Yeah, I mean, I think like they're not. Google has a ton of issues. Let me put that out there, and I think you summarized that really well. Like, I think this is the same thing that happens at a lot of companies. I interviewed Rihanna Pratchett. And if you don't know, for anybody out in chat who doesn't know who that is, Rihanna Pratchett is the writer for Tomb Raider. And I got to interview her, and she wrote Tomb Raider and then Rise of the Tomb Raider, the second one, the one that won all the awards, and the one that Xbox had a time exclusive for. And she told us what happened once Xbox got a timed exclusive for the game. She said once that happened, you had Microsoft people who had nothing to do with the game talking about what they needed to write in the game. And that is just because it was a big thing. The timed exclusive for that Tomb Raider was $100 million. Right. And then once the game sold, it only sold like 1 million copies on Xbox. It sold 9 million copies on PlayStation after releasing 9 months later. And to her, she just like said, like, that's what happens at these companies, is that the hubris, like, again, the same thing that I said led Microsoft in this situation. Big tech has this hubris. Like, you have these people who make a lot of money, and they think that gives them just this infinite wisdom, and it really doesn't. And now, like, look who has egg on their face right now. It's Microsoft. It's a bunch of execs who sold people on this idea that you're going to $70 billion and get it through. Yeah, I don't know how else to say it other than
people are not held accountable.
Well, hopefully someone's going to probably have to be held accountable for this $3 billion loss. Like, I don't think Nadella might not. I mean, I think it should be Phil Spencer. I think it should
be both. Satya Nadella and Phil Spencer are both in this.
The only reason I say it's not Satya Nadella is just because as a CEO, he's managing multiple things, right? He in ChatGPT, he's still landed. Cloud, he's done well given the macroeconomic environment. I think Phil Spencer's the one where you start to talk about what have your studios done. What has let's screw the $70 billion acquisition. What has the $8.5 billion acquisition done? You know, like, that's the one. Like, what have all these things, these studios done? Like, the industry has moved away from what the vision you told us.
Mm-hmm.
You know, and to me, like, I don't know. Let me come back to this. To me, I asked the question of, like, we know basically every iteration of the Xbox, there has been some, like, coming to our savior moment about whether or not Xbox is going to die, right? We saw this at the end of the Xbox 360 era. We saw this again during the Xbox 4 era. And both times, like, the CEO has come out and said, we're still going to support it. To me, do those voices that inside of Microsoft, have they gained leverage because this deal has fallen through, or have they not? And I think that there is a very, very real risk to the Xbox people think is Xbox, right? That we already know was never a thing. And so I'm really curious how this is going to play out long term, because I just don't see it playing out well.
Yeah, I don't see it playing out well as either. I feel like Phil Spencer should take the fall. Don't get me wrong, man. I like Phil Spencer as he's a gamer like at heart, but gaming and being a businessman are two different things. And I think he sends mixed messages when he talks about he's very passionate about gaming and how he games, but that doesn't always translate well to the business side of it. And hold on real quick.
That goes with any business. I mean, you could look at sports and fans of sports teams that fail miserably as owners. I mean, it's the same thing, but I don't see Phil lasting very at the end of this because this isn't the first failed attempt at Microsoft trying to acquire something that hasn't worked out in their favor.
Here,
I think they tried that once before with Discord, not the same level of money that they've invested, but
yeah, I'm sharing the screen on Sony paid $229 million with an M for Insomniac a few years ago.
Oh no, that is million. Oh, look at that.
Back.
Wow.
So that is an investment that really paid out for itself.
Yeah. Oh.
That is the type of acquisition that helped the company acquire a small studio that you know where they have talent and give them the resources to make the great games. That is the kind of deal that pays off for the consumers, for the investors, for everyone. Microsoft going for Activision Blizzard is just throwing a lot of money at something and hoping that it works, and it was a bad idea to start with.
I mean, let's look at what Sega's acquisition of Ruvio, right? Makers of Angry Birds. You know, $750 million, but you're talking about a major mobile IP. You know,
who just developed some technology to help create more games. They just patent something to make mobile game creation a lot easier, which will be useful for Sega.
Yeah, that's right. Or let's look at last year's deal, Embracer Group acquiring Crystal Dynamics, right? Like, there are deals to be had, I think. But again, I think Phil Spencer got played by Bobby Kotick, right? No. Like you know, everybody continues to forget what was happening between the summer and winter of 2021. This is not some startup company that's like, let's get bought out. This was a company that was in distress because of its CEO and the behavior or the lack of behavior he had shown. And Phil Spencer called up Bobby Kotick. We don't know. Only Phil Spencer and Bobby Kotick knows what happened in that conversation. But to me, this was always going to just was destined to fail. But again, this goes back to Phil Spencer probably is not the gaming CEO that people make him out to be, or that his position would entail. Like, if Xbox was an independent company, it would have probably went under a long time ago.
Oh, they didn't have the money that Microsoft had. They would have been done for after the 360. After the Red Ring of Death, they would have been done for.
What I like about you bringing up Bobby Kotick playing Phil Spencer on this, it kind of goes into what we've last podcast we had on Monday. We were talking about things that are going on at Sony right now, which is putting them in a very powerful position. Now, there's some acquisition. I'm pretty sure you saw Firewalk Studio that just got acquired. I don't know if you've been digging a bit into that studio, who they are and all, but they're coming from probably Monsters, which through looking through some files, I figured out something. They're not a publisher. They're basically a talent agency for PlayStation. They're creating studios that PlayStation, once the studio matured and is good enough, PlayStation just buy it off of them. And they're making, it's basically quadruple A studios. Like Firewalk, the talent that is in there is crazy. And the other games, Cauldron and the other, I can't remember what it is. those studios specifically are tailored to replace what Activision Blizzard was providing for PlayStation. Specifically, we're talking about Call of Duty, we're talking about Blizzard, Diablo, and the other game is going to be like probably another shooter, might be going for Overwatch or something like that. Sony saw the problem at Activision Blizzard Kings coming a while ago, and they knew that they had to find a solution as to not rely on those. So they've been financing that to create their own studios that would take over that side of the business, their own service games. And now we're seeing that Firewalk Studio, apparently their game is almost ready, and that's where the acquisition went through. They've been working on their game for about 4 or 5 years, even though we've only learned about them last year. So they've seen that coming a mile away.
Yeah, like, I mean, gaming's dynamic. I don't know. Like I said, the most profitable games are free-to-play games, multiplayer type of experiences. And I think Sony, say what people want to say about Sony. Sony's an entertainment company. You know, Japan has a long history of gaming. And the only thing I can say is, for anybody who's just upset with this deal, fan or company exec alike, hubris. That's all. Like, you showed this excessive amount of pride, and well, we see where that led you.
Pretty much. So yeah, it's a lot to digest. What's going on? Some haven't seen it coming. Some kind of have for a while and have been calling it. I went more on the mute on that because I saw it was frustrating some people. But yeah. Good to see you, JD, face to face.
I know, man.
I know. Look
I know,
at him
man.
sneaking up on in here.
Look, I had to sneak away real quick to get up on.
No, he said Brian left, so now I can come out of the shadows.
the two made way, so I can show my face real quick. Oh man.
That's good. That's good. So to tie into the cloud gaming though, what's sad? Okay, Microsoft wants to go in an appeal on this, and they're talking that it might take up to 3 years to resolve this. We know that now if they want to come back onto this, it's actually on the process and not really the content of the trial, so it might not even go through. But the only chance they have is if there's a turnaround, and it would be in the cloud gaming. So they would need to have a competition that rises up. Sony's been working on their cloud gaming solution. But if they give too much time to Sony, if they continue to, because it almost looked like, if you look at what's been going on lately, it's almost like Microsoft is purposely trying to look bad so they can secure that acquisition. Almost. Because it's not been going well for them. But if they wait too long before before taking the right decisions, Sony is taking leaps ahead. And Sony is about to release their cloud gaming. There's a rumored handheld device that's focused on streaming that apparently the release date for it is in November that I've seen somewhere in a source. It's supposed to be coming this year. Their cloud works extremely well. I know a lot of people complain about Sony's cloud gaming. Their problem they have right now is that it's not on a lot of devices because it seems that they don't deem it ready for a full blown rollout. But if you play it on the PC app, it runs extremely well. On the PS5, it runs well. PS4 has some struggle, but it's because of the networking chip that cannot support it well enough, but it still works. So Sony is about to do its entrance into cloud gaming big time, roll it out to mobile devices, roll it out to much more. So even if Microsoft was to do an appeal and that it takes that much time to get Call of Duty. Sony has plenty of time to roll out their titles with Firewalk Studios and those other studios they have that are cooking to take a good handle on cloud gaming. So how long can they wait?
You know where I stand on it. I don't think this makes it past July 17th. I think they back out. But at the end of the day, even if Microsoft and the CMA accurately described why there's a theory of harm in cloud gaming and why Sony would never be able to compete necessarily with Microsoft, why no company can really compete with Microsoft. And it's a combination of both. Like Sony can compete with Microsoft on content. And that's what the CMA said. But they said Sony doesn't own its own cloud, would always need a third party at the moment to support their cloud ambitions. And then on the biggest thing though that makes this whole thing not work is on Windows. And at the moment, if Microsoft, even if Microsoft were to get, it just does not make. I'm not even gonna say it just does not make sense for them to get Call of Duty. Now, if Microsoft really was playing this smart, they would get rid of Call of Duty. Like that is not worth the trouble in this deal. Like you know, they would get rid of Call of Duty, they would take Blizzard, they would take King, and then they would continue to press forward, right? Because they do still have a pretty size. They own the vertical very, very well. Like you know, but from a Sony perspective, I think Sony, they still are a little bit further out. Like Rudix earlier was talking about, he wanted a cloud native game. Sony, I think their big target is 2026. You know, I think Doc, you mentioned AWS. I know I've seen things regarding Google Cloud and Agonis. And so you have that side of things. I think another thing people are forgetting is the big player in Japan who signed their cloud contract before Sony. And really the only thing they're missing is third-party games. That is Nintendo, right? And I think Nintendo also has a lot of ambitions in this space. I don't think they're going to like blow it out the water, but I think just a slight upgrade in a Nintendo hardware mixed with cloud gaming to play third-party games, Nintendo basically becomes probably the biggest threat in gaming. There are at least since the last 25 years.
The thing though about Nintendo and PlayStation is that they're not really attacking each other. They're almost collaborating.
Oh yeah. No, I think I'm saying from an Xbox perspective.
Yeah.
Like I think from an Xbox perspective, the smartest move, if you're still trying to be in the games, right? Because to me, Xbox is not like, I don't see a path forward for them to be a dominant player or to be a marquee player, not with talent, not with games. I just don't like, that is a serious strategic change, probably philosophical change first and then strategic change for them to get there. But in reality, the CMA was going to block this because it's Microsoft, not because it's Xbox. And to answer your question about how much time, there's just no, like, that would imply that Microsoft actually has something up their sleeves that they were going to not, hit a grand slam on. And what I would remind everybody about with Microsoft is there's only one acquisition in recent memory that has panned out for them, and that is LinkedIn. Any of their other acquisitions, usually they write off. So, I don't know.
And
gotta love Microsoft.
Something that we mustn't ignore in the discussion, and people are gonna hate it. Xbox almost got axed during the Xbox One generation because it was not going well, and they gave it a chance. The Game Pass was picking up, and I think at a moment Phil Spencer mentioned that Game Pass was closing in on close to 30 million. Numbers that just came out, 15 million on PC, 10 million on console. So it's been shrinking.
Yeah. No, I mean, the subscription. So there's some research that's been done that Nintendo, someone mentioned it earlier. Nintendo has the right, like, to make money off of subscription and cloud. Nintendo has the model, which is you charge a premium for your game and then you add on cloud as like an add-on, bare bones, and then you build it over time. The problem with Microsoft is they've given everything right into it. It is still growing 2 to 3%, but that's growing at basically the rate of population, if you think about it. You know, this is not a strong business argument for anybody who's trying to say that, look, Game Pass is a success. 2 to 3% business growth is literally like the rate of the population growth.
It's smaller than inflation.
Yeah. And so when you combine that, that's why I continue to say Microsoft needs a serious philosophical change, like our Xbox does. It's not even a strategic change. You have to rethink why you're in this game. And I think, you know, and during the Xbox One generation, right, they try to do this pivot to be an entertainment
The DVR.
system. Yeah, to do that, right? They try to do that. It backfired on them, you know? And the gamers said, yo, we're with you. Why won't you give us the games, right? Like, whatever that means. You know, I don't even think gamers know what that really means. But do that, and I just think it's Microsoft. Like, being an entertainment company is not a sexy business. Like, right, some people continue to talk about Netflix, right? Go look at Netflix numbers, right? They are like stagnating at 220 million people. Screw this getting 1 billion gamers. Netflix can't even get 300 million TV watchers, and there's more people who watch TV than game. Right? You know, let's look at Warner Brothers Discovery. Like, they are in so much debt, right? They've thought about killing HBO Now and Discovery Plus. Go look at Disney. Hulu is on the chopping block, right? They are trying to figure out how not to hemorrhage money from Disney Plus. When was the last time we heard Amazon Prime? Amazon Prime.
Is that still a thing?
Well, we now have to
still
get
making
MGM.
content.
I know.
We have to now get MGM Plus to watch from the TV show, which I think is a great TV show, by the way. But they have MGM Plus. You know, like they have to like supplement that. Like, subscription models, like this deal and the pivot to making Game Pass everything could not have come at a worse time.
Yeah.
Like, you make the announcement at the beginning of last year, and then what happens? Interest rates go from like 0.025 to damn near 6%. Right? This is horrible, right? We now start getting all these other media companies are saying like, yo, streaming, real expensive. Facebook has said, yeah, we were really stupid for changing our name to something like a gaming technology thing in metaverse. Amazon has basically, they're going to try to make it work, but it's bare bones shoestring for what they could have done with that. Stadia, we already know where that is. Like, recession coming around the corner on discretionary spending, discretionary spending. And then on top of all of that, the games most people play and the games that make the most money are free to play games. No, a subscription model for video games is about the dumbest thing you can do right now. You know,
Make it make sense.
It's about the dumbest thing you could do. You put an investment, like, it's actually at $70 billion. You put a fraction of that in something called ChatGPT, in the whole market move. No, this entire thing is just dumb. And And unfortunately, Microsoft, you played yourself again. Like, we try to give you so many chances, and you haven't been cool since Windows 95.
Okay.
And so, like, this is like, you know,
The gloves are coming off.
no, I mean,
Yeah.
Windows. You promised us a lot with Windows 98, but fool me once, shame on you. Fool me twice, you know, shame on me. So no, it's this is, and I own 2 Xbox. I literally own the Xbox Series X over there, the Xbox Series S over here, and a whole bunch of controllers. Don't ask me why, but it's the best place to play third-party games. That's it. Like, that's why I like it. But you promised us basically a genie in a box. And I rubbed that shit enough times, and no genie's coming out.
That's what I'm saying. Like,
Fantastic.
oh my gosh, how many times we gonna let Xbox just get away with this? How many times we gonna wait? How many times we gotta wait for games, wait for promises, wait for them to just do something correctly, consistently? Not talking about one hit here and 5 years later you got another hit. Just do something continuously, consistently for like 2 years straight to, like, you know, just get people to be like, okay, I can start trusting Xbox again. I can start,
But
you know what I'm
the
saying?
problem is, to trust Xbox, you have to trust their parent, and that's saying I'm going to trust Microsoft, and that's the bigger problem here. I said this about Stadia, that Stadia's problem was Google ran it. Xbox's biggest problem is Microsoft. If Xbox was its own thing, I think it would be in a different position. But the problem is, it's Microsoft running the show. The same reason that Luna has a problem with that. What Luna's problem is, it's Amazon runs it. Everybody has their own issues, and it's because somebody else is overseeing it. I mean, there are other companies out there that have other issues that aren't because of a parent company. I'm not naming names, but we all know who I'm talking about. Well, some of us on this panel know.
But Microsoft is calling Sony out for being anti-competitive in Japan. We're talking about Microsoft, who spent the 80s and the 90s eliminating every single computer OS out there to have a monopoly on freaking computer.
Yeah,
You're thinking of
IBM's
computer, you're thinking Windows. Like, people are thinking of Mac when you're doing creative stuff. Okay, it's cute. But if you're in an office, y'all already assume it's going to be Windows on it.
I mean, the whole Xbox documentary was them talking about the reason why we created Xbox was because, you know, we don't want Sony to have the living room.
Yeah.
Like, your whole purpose, one of the main driving force that Bill Gates and I forgot who the other person was, you know, they authorized Xbox is because they didn't want PlayStation taking over the living room.
100%.
Now you do a whole 360, Xbox 360. Now you do a whole reverse role and say we're not competing with that. Like,
but they were trying to do the same thing. I mean, they legit tried to take the Xbox and create it as this all-encompassing thing that would just basically do everything for you. Hook it up to the TV in your living room. It does everything.
I don't get it, man. But, you know, again, like, I just want Microsoft, whoever after this thing, you know, after the smokes, if Xbox division is still around after all of this fiasco stuff that is going on, they need to really get some people in charge that are focused on gamers and gaming and what does gamers want? What is Xbox? What does Xbox mean to you? Is it just something to bring in extra subscribers, or is your heart, do you really have a passion to make quality games and deliver something in the video game industry and to, you know, come up with something really outside the box, come up with something outstanding? You know, is that a passion, or is that not a passion? If it's not a passion, just let us know that's not your passion, so I can know how to spend my money. Don't have me on the ropes for what are we going on? 14 years? I don't know how long. What we going on? Like, don't have me on the roads, having my hopes and dreams, telling me to power my dreams. You can't even power your system. You can't even power your system. So that's where I'm at with the whole thing, with the whole CMA, the whole ABK deal. I actually wanted the ABK deal to go through because it wasn't about Xbox. They talking about they couldn't compete. No, they can compete if they would focus on what is Xbox and what does gamers want. They
You're
could
asking
have
a lot for them to do something.
right. They could have competed, but somewhere along the line, or it was never in their DNA, they just said, screw that. We're not competing. As soon as you tell me you're not competing, that's a red flag.
Yep.
That's a red flag for me. I'm not competing with play. We're not trying to compete with Nintendo. We're not. That's why I said with Phil's special talk, he's talking from a gamer, which is cool. Like, hey, we should everybody get along, kumbaya. All right, cool. But competition brings more competition. And if you say that you're not going to compete with PlayStation or Nintendo, they're not your competitors. We're in our own lane. That's cool. You in your own lane, but what do you ain't produced nothing in your own lane in so long. You haven't produced anything. So that's where I'm at with it, man. They need to change up leadership. Hopefully Xbox is still around. I don't want PlayStation to just be by themselves, even though like we said earlier, PlayStation and Nintendo, they're kind of in their own bubble, in their own lane. But they still need competition to challenge them to do things different, because without competition, you saw what happened with the PlayStation 3. We saw how Nintendo got cocky before the PlayStation 1 dropped with the Super NES era. So we know companies can get cocky, and so I don't want the demise of Xbox, but if Xbox saying they don't have a passion for gaming, the art, and can respect gaming, then
They
they
could
need
sell
to drop
Xbox
out.
to another company.
Yeah.
Tencent could buy Xbox.
Happy days.
Apple, Disney. I mean, there's a lot of people that could buy them out. Let's be
Facts.
real.
So here's the thing, JG, and this is the company I've been getting. Initially, I was skeptical, but there's one company that I think is starting to dive into gaming, and they are a creative company, and they are the ones who I am now. It's going to be a little while. Not saying go on there right now, but they are the ones I think are going to actually produce, are going to be a force over the next sometime in a decade or so, and maybe hopefully not that long. Netflix.
Yes.
Netflix is a creative company. Netflix is starting to invest in it. I'm an indie game player. I like visual type of games. Valiant Hearts 2, great time. I played it on the app. I think, and when we think about them pursuing AAA games, we look at some of the people they're
It
poaching.
just got Joseph Statham.
Yeah, they're poaching people. They are, they kind of, Netflix has, throwing money at content. They understand the creative process. I am really excited to see what they do, because I think, and this goes back, I don't think it's a big tech company that can do it. You're gonna need to get a creative. Sony is a creative company. Nintendo is a gaming company. You need someone to run with them.
Mm-hmm.
Yep.
And so, and that's where as far as like seeing creativity from anything, it's Netflix, right?
Excellent.
They're experimenting with cloud gaming. They've shown that they can put the game on your phone. Let's see if they can now put it on your TV. If they can start getting that, and we know that they can produce content, right? We know that. Now let's see if it can do it in the gaming space, and I think they can, right? If we look at the moves they're making, they are, Stadia had a phenomenal team. For anybody who doesn't believe that, Stadia had a damn good team. They just did not have the leash. They were not at the right company.
Yep.
Netflix is putting a team that, as from a gaming perspective, I would say would have competed against Stadia's team, and that gets me excited.
Yeah.
One question I wanted to go over before we wrap this up. We talked about what Microsoft and Xbox going to do. What's Activision Blizzard King? If we're okay, the deal's not going through, this whole conversation is over. They sue Microsoft over and they get $5 billion or whatever. But after that, what's to become of them? What decision will they take? Where are they going from here?
They can go back to doing what they do.
They print money. Yeah, that's. I mean,
that's the reality of it. Is nothing's going to change for them. They're going to get more money. They'll sue, do whatever against Microsoft, and then they come out on top, and they're right back where they started.
They're in a better position. Like, what a lot of people don't realize is that when you are a public traded company, you have to report every quarter. When you get acquired, your reporting requirements drop. And so you're able to fix things within the company that you normally couldn't do unless like a private equity firm bought you, right? And so they got that benefit. And let's look at what they did. And this is why Bobby Kotick has a good chance to stay CEO no matter what. In the fall of 2021, you had Overwatch 2 was delayed, Diablo 4 was delayed, and you had just came out with one of the probably the lowest rated Call of Duties, and Call of Duty Vanguard had just released. Over that year, he's produced one of the highest rated Call of Duties in Call of Duty Modern Warfare 2. He's done Diablo 4 has more hype in the PC gaming market than basically any game in recent memory, and it looks like it's going to be phenomenal. Overwatch 2 surpassed its modest expectations. They're going to do what they're going to do. People also forget, even though it was a pay-to-play game, Diablo Immortals in the mobile sector did pretty well for a mobile game.
Didn't they just put up their numbers also?
Yeah, they
were making money. So
they're going to report tomorrow, what they did. And so, like, they're going to do what they're going to do. I'm excited about Diablo 4. I think they did a lot of remodeling around the company. I'm not sure if we're going to see any amazing new IP come out of there, but you're going to probably see them back on the stage, and I wouldn't be surprised if they start buying as well, because they have a lot of cash on hand too.
Yeah.
Do you think Microsoft is going to go after anybody else when this fails? Or if anybody's going to be willing to even communicate with Microsoft?
Do you think the board will allow them?
No.
No chance, no.
No. You know who Microsoft should have went after? Instead of going after Activision Blizzard, and I think this deal would have went through? Take-Two Interactive. Because that's who they should have went after. Because then you can't say, well, you have a Halo 2 Call of Duty competitor type of situation. Because now you have no sport, right? Your 2K games don't really exist anywhere else, right? Your Zynga games, you get the mobile play there. And then your Call of Duty equivalent, moneymaker wise, is Grand Theft Auto. And you don't have anything like that as well. You actually can make a pretty strong argument to go after Take-Two Interactive, and it would have probably cost you half as much.
Yeah.
Right? But you screwed that up. You screwed the pooch on that one. Right. You win. You said,
JD, you makes a good point with that. Damn, I don't want to admit it.
Yeah. But they screwed the pooch on it. Right. I'm not saying, and granted, if you understand anything about how Rockstar does their games, you are not forcing them to put a game out until it's ready. So maybe the future wouldn't have worked out. But if you wanted IP, you wanted something to be sexy, you wanted all the same benefits that you were going to get with the ABK deal, but with not the same provocative nature of ABK, you went after Take-Two. But hubris in this whole conversation is why you didn't do it.
Oh, man. Yeah, man.
But the thing is, at the moment, they can't afford to do that because they have to sort out the mess they've put themselves into before they do anything else.
they're done. No, you could have they could have made all the same arguments. We're going to put this stuff on the cloud. You have all the same arguments that you have, but now you've lost all your goodwill. Like, it's better to measure.
Take-Two was like they didn't want nothing on the cloud.
Yeah. Like, man. So good luck. Good luck to you. And you would have a phenomenal, what I consider one of the top 5 gaming studios in the world in Rockstar.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Right. Like,
yeah.
Too much, but hubris.
Yep. My last question, I know that was the thing, but my question I gotta ask is: Do we think Microsoft, or the Xbox division, squandered relationships, a lot of relationships with game developers? Not even before this deal, right? A lot of people that used to work for Xbox started leaving, and going their separate ways and leaving Xbox, and then a lot of third-party companies are not really working with Xbox. Do we feel like they squandered a lot of relationships?
Because they're getting skipped by a lot of studios.
To even court studios to continue to invest and make games for them.
I think it depends on gaming relationships are unique. Each one is different, right? And I think it depends on who you are, right? As we've seen some games at studios, that relationship has been beneficial, and some it hasn't. I think the question is hard. It's hard to say. I don't know. I don't know. I haven't been to GDC. I would have to ask around a couple of people, but from what I've heard, the people who are pro Xbox are pro Xbox from a game studio perspective, and the people who are not are not. There's no one in the middle ground on that one.
There's console wars even among the studios.
Yeah. So, but that's how I would have. But it's a good question. But I would say that they have enough will. What is it? The people who just did the Game of Year nominee, Plague Tale.
Oh yeah.
Plague Tale Requiem. Right.
Such a good game.
In indie studio, right? They have a really good relationship with them. You know what I mean? But then you look at someone like company I just mentioned, Take-Two, Zav Zimmering, he doesn't want anything to do with them. I think it really depends on where you are on your trajectory of, can we make a great game? So Deep Silver, great example. Embracer Group. I don't think Embracer Group is going to throw all their trash on the basic, not trash, but their old titles. And I think Dead Island 2, Deep Silver, Embracer Group studio, proved we sold 1 million copies in 3 days. Were we going to get $70 million from Game Pass to put our game? So I think it depends on who you are. Do you need the exposure? Do you need that little bit of money to get over the hump? And I think the more you lean in that, the more you're probably on a certain, I like Microsoft. And the more you can do your own marketing, you have your own franchises, you have your own things that you can, the hype you can generate, the less you.
Even Minecraft Legend that just came out, only 5% of its sales were on Xbox. That's not normal.
That's well,
it's like 65 or something percent were on PlayStation and the rest were on the Switch, and only 5% of the sales were on Xbox. It's I understand there's Game Pass, but there's on Xbox 10 million Game Pass subscribers, and not all of them will go play that game. So there should, if you look at the entire console market, there should be a decent amount of people that goes and buy them. Not 5% for a first-party studio.
Yeah. I think I kind of use the analogy I always use is Netflix. When we think of a Netflix hit, how many people have watched that show on Netflix compared
Stranger
to the
Things.
overall. Yeah, like compared to the
Ooh.
whole. And then I look at like when we hear about, well, there's 25 million paying customers on Game Pass supposedly, and we get numbers that are like 10%, 2.5 million people played this game. That's not a big. You got 25 million people. That's not a huge number. When we look at when we look at Netflix, it's usually like a 25% need to have watched the show. So I don't know.
Yeah.
It's gonna be interesting. But you can I will make a video about it eventually.
Yeah. Oh,
Um,
man.
maybe in a few weeks we'll do another podcast about the demise of Game Pass at this point.
Yeah. Oh my gosh. Or
That
Phil
would be
Spencer
wild.
said Phil Spencer, Phil Spencer stepping down. I think there is a lot of content about to come out of this deal not going through. A lot
Oh
of
yeah.
conversations about missteps.
The haters will be out in drones.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, it's a comment I saw a lot on Twitter actually today. It's like, if anyone ever wanted to get into content creation, now is the time. Yeah.
Oh my god.
Yeah,
Yep.
we're going to go around to see where we can find. But Purple A's, thank you so much for joining us today. It's been great
Thank you.
conversation. So where can people find you?
People can find me on my channel, Shades of Purple.
It's actually in the comment.
It is?
Yeah, I
Awesome.
put it in
Awesome.
there's a link there you can click on.
Awesome. Yep. So that's where you can find me. I stream every Thursday, usually content creator, or I may start doing another thing where I have like an open mic once a month type of deal.
I regret that.
You are a content creator. That is a Shades of Purple alumni. I would love to have you as well, Doc, one day to come talk to your gaming journey as well, JD. I'm always about just trying to get to find out more about the community. It's about gaming, or about you and your journey. So I do that, and then on Sundays I do a game stream, but it's really adult oriented type of content. It's not necessarily about the game. It's really about the conversation. So
it's like our podcast, our chats used to be on Cloud
Oh,
Nation.
man.
Yeah,
Yeah, it was crazy.
That's what I've been in some of those chats.
yeah. So
Oh
yeah,
wow.
that's where you can find me. But yep, thanks you for having me, Doc, for sure.
Thanks a lot for joining. It was a lot of fun. Vet, where can we find you?
Vet Gaming on Twitter and YouTube. I might be streaming later tonight. I don't know. It just depends on what I'm in the mood for, or I might just go hound people on Twitter and make more gifts. Just
Make more enemies.
Where the wind takes me.
As for you, JD, thanks a lot for joining tonight, by the way.
Oh yeah. No worries. Glad I was able to make it here tonight. But yeah, thank you for Purple Haze again for stopping by and coming through the show. We really appreciate you. And yeah, can't wait to work with you again in the future. And yeah, just follow me on Twitter right now, JD3MXP. I got a lot of life stuff going on. Got to move, got to transition and stuff, and a whole bunch of things. But JD3MXP, you can follow me on Twitter. I'm on Twitch. I'm on YouTube. All the platforms at JD3MXP as well for gaming. So just hit me up. And you never know. I'll just slide through.
We'll see you on the Xbox.
Awesome. As for me, you can find me here. Hit the bell for notification whenever I go live, and on Twitter at Dr. Spaceman Games. So this was a special episode for the CMA, or else you can find us live every Monday evening, 8:30 Eastern Time. So thank you so much, the chat. You've been awesome. And we're going to wrap this up. Have a good night.
See ya.